we receive a comment that I thought it was worth sharing because it's a question that people ask pretty often. So I think it's very relevant to share. And it says, "Hey guys, I found your channel a few weeks ago and I've been watching your videos. I'm going to my first ayahuasca ceremony next month, not in Ecuador, somewhere closer to home here in Europe. And honestly, I'm scared. I already paid, I already told the people close to me, but there's a part of me that keeps looking for an excuse to cancel. What if I see something I can't handle? What if I open something I can close afterwards? You've sat with so many people through this. How do I know if I'm actually ready?" Thank you for that question. I think that's a very normal thing that we all experience. I remember the first time that I went to a ceremony. This was like 15 years ago. It's close to 15 years ago. I found some information around ayahuasca specifically, and then of course I had fear because I kept reading all the things that it said about this medicine. That is, the uh, a path of initiation of death and rebirth. They call it the rope of death. Like there's so many things, right? But I knew that that was something that it was calling me. So I think number one is to understand that that fear is normal and in fact is a good thing. I would even say that if you don't have fear, I would be saying like, what's wrong with you? Because till this day, after 15 years of drinking medicine, I have some fear before I drink that cup. When they give me the cup, my heart is beating and racing. So I don't know if the fear ever goes away, but I do believe that we build a different relationship with it. So I think it's a very normal thing. And the important thing is that you can transform this fear into respect and reverence. How do you do that? I think preparation is important. And ayahuasca has a very particular preparation process. And I can talk about the diet in another video. But basically, it's no sex, no stimulants like coffee, sugars, cacao, no chocolate, um, no pharmaceutical drugs, no drugs, no cannabis, no garlic, no onions, no salt, and no red meat. And there's a whole reason for that abstinence. But if you start with the preparation, you show respect to the medicine that way and to yourself, really. Is you're showing respect to yourself. If you show that respect starting from the preparation, I think you're probably like 80% there. The next step is really find a time to set your intentions. Like, why are you doing this? Journal. I think journaling is something that is very important, is so helpful because it mirrors back your psyche, it mirrors back your own questions, doubts, and you have the answers ultimately. But that helps you be more clear about the reasons why you're choosing to come into medicine. Once you have clear intentions, once you have done your preparation, there's a very important element, which is trust. This is where I invite people to connect with something they believe in, something higher than themselves. Like some people call it God, spirit, the great mystery, like whatever you want to call it, whatever religion you're in. Like medicine has no religion, no race, is one open thing, you know? And it is an important thing to connect with this higher part, like the divinity, if you want to call it that way. I believe personally that there's fundamentally an aspect of life that is based in pure love. And if you read scriptures from different religions, you get to the same conclusions. Like there's a very loving force caring for us, protecting us, and like we are swimming in that. So it's an important thing to put your trust in that. Like, so number one, turn that fear into respect, reverence. How do you do that? Respect the preparation, the diet, Set good intentions, get clarity, connect with something higher than yourself. Even if it's your grandmother, that's fine. Like whoever gave you that support, that safety, that calmness, that love, connect with that because that's going to be with you throughout the experience. Then the medicine really appreciates and responds very well to courage. And why do I say that? Is because these experiences are very challenging. They're confrontational experiences. I always feel that the healing path is such a drag because no one wants to do the work. Like the work, it feels hard. No one feels like doing hard work. But we must, if we want to change, if we want to change our habits, are the ways that are toxic or that they are not healed, that they've been traumatized, we need to do some type of work. There's a price that we need to pay. That's just the law of life. We always have to give something to get something back in return. So what you're given here is your resistance. If you want to change your ways, your bad habits, patterns, you want to heal trauma, it is important to learn how to surrender. So that's why it's important to connect with this higher part of you or like the divinity, because you need to deposit your trust into something. And if you don't have that, and if you don't have courage, the medicine will show you how to have that. And specifically the medicine of tobacco will be a great tool, a great master to teach you that. There's this analogy that I really like using because depending on, and this happens to all of us, this is just the human condition. We're born in a family that shapes us with its own values, belief systems. We live within that family. There's the society, the culture that we are part of, right? So there's all this conditioning. And I think the path of the human being towards liberation is to release all these things that are not part of that person. And that's why I call the purification process. When you sit with this very ancient, intelligent plant, we go through a purification process. Is the death and the rebirth. And it happens in multiple levels. It happens from the physical plane, because ayahuasca is helping you release toxins that has been stuck in your cells, in your body, in your organs for a long time. It also helps you to release emotional toxins, all the blockages, all the hate, all the resentment, envy, whatever those heavy negative emotions are in, the medicine will help you release, those emotions. And then there's like the mental toxins, like thoughts and beliefs that has been with us for many years that are no longer serving us. The medicine will help you see that, and it's gonna help you release that as well. In the short cosmovision, they believe that all the emotions are stuck in our stomach. And if you think about it, it makes sense because how many times have we eaten out of anxiety, out of worry, right? Like we put those emotions into our stomach. So that's where the purging effect comes in. And that's also uncomfortable because we're not used to purging. The next thing is that what happens if I open something that I cannot close? There's an aspect of the ceremony that you come in as one person and you come out as a way different person. The work of a really good facilitator shaman is to hold the energetic container. So, in that regard, feel safe, especially if you find and you feel someone that emanates that trust. It is good to surrender and allow yourself to be taken care of, right? If you cannot, after the ceremony, if you feel that you have opened something, maybe it's a new way of thinking, maybe it's an old traumatic memory, trust the process because the ayahuasca is not only the ceremony. And that's why I feel like it's very important. Whoever you're doing the ceremonies with, look for preparation and integration. If the people that are, running the ceremonies or retreats or experiences, they don't have this too, I would stay away from that because there's so many people that they just give you the ceremony, but they don't pay attention to the integration part. What happens after the ceremony? What do I do with what you just opened, right? So there's a whole process for that, and it's just part of the whole experience of ayahuasca and transformation in general. And the last thing I want to share is that think about this. It's like you need to get surgery because something happened in your body. There's some injury or there's an organ that is failing. You need surgery, right? It's a drag. Like, who wants to go through surgery? Is the work that you have to do, right? To get better, to be healthy. So you go to a doctor. The doctor emanates that trust, calms all the doubts and questions you might have. And then when you go to the day of the surgery, you're about to get open, right? What is left for you to do? To relax and surrender and to trust is no different with ayahuasca. You go to the shaman, to the facilitator, you feel trust, you feel all those doubts being calm. And then you're with a cup of medicine, you set your intentions, you connect with your higher self, your inner God, whatever you want to call that. And then the rest is like allow yourself to surrender to the experience. In the 15 years that I've personally sat with these medicines, and also for what I've seen around me with other people, is that there's no such thing as a bad trip, as a bad experience. What I've seen and what I've experienced is that there are challenging ones. But again, this is the price that we got to pay in order to evolve, to transform, to let die the old ways that are no longer serving us. And so yeah, again, if I have to sum up all the stuff that I just shared, number one, turn that fear is normal. It is good. So turn it into respect, into reverence, into humility, because you're about to sit with yourself. You're about to see yourself deeply. How do you do that? Preparation is key. Be respectful with the preparation. Journal, set your intentions. Then connect with something higher than yourself and deposit your trust in that and just let go and surrender to the experience. And lastly, remember that there are no bad trips, there are just challenging ones. I hope that this responds to your question and that this can also help other people who might be feeling in the same place. And if you want to know more about ancestral wisdom and ancestral plant and plant medicines, just give us a follow where you're going to be finding more videos that are very useful for this path.